and welcome to Taking Care of Business. I'm Lori Higgins, President of the Metro North Chamber of Commerce. The Metro North Chamber is a business organization dedicated to serving the businesses of the Anoka County area. Taking Care of Business is our monthly TV show where we highlight different chamber members as well as talk about different issues important to the business community. Today we're going to do a little bit of both. We're going to talk to some chamber members as well as talk about an issue that's happening right now. And that is all about the Anoka County Airport, located right here in Blaine, Minnesota. My guests today are Michael Lawrence from Key Air. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
And Craig Schiller from Golden Wings Museum.
Welcome.
So thank you for being here today. We've got a lot to cover and only a short amount of time to do so. Besides the airport, we're going to talk a little bit about an upcoming event as well, Discover Aviation Days, so we'll save some time at the end for that. Maybe to start off, if you could each just do a little bit of a better job than I did introducing yourselves and your role in relation to the airport. So Michael, do you want to start?
My name is Michael Lawrence. I'm the general manager of Key Air Twin Cities. It's a fixed-based operation at the airport. It was new in the end of 2008. And it's basically a services provider for business aircraft coming and going, as well as a landlord of sorts for different aviation businesses within our facility.
Oh, great, and we'll talk more about those businesses later on.
Sure.
So, Craig?
My name is Craig Schiller, and I'm the site director for Golden Wings Museum. It's basically a private collection of about 40 plus vintage aircraft based at the south end of the airport. So I manage the facility, take care of the collection, and sit on some aviation boards where we take care of events and take out at the airport.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again both for being here. So just to start off, to set the framework a little bit, let's talk about the history of the Anoka County Airport. So when did it get started and why Blaine?
From what we've gathered so far, the airport itself, or the area, came about in the late 40s, early 50s. The information we currently have is in December of 1952 is when the Metropolitan Airports Commission actually opened the airport officially. Okay. And so the MAC has been running the airfield or the airport since that time period. Prior to that, it was an airfield, and the University of Minnesota took hold at the south end of the airport in 1951 in that process of being opened by the Airports Commission.
So it's been around here for a long time.
It has.
Yeah, and also for clarification, what exactly is a reliever airport? Because that's technically what this airport is.
Well, the Airports Commission manages 7 airports. They own and manage 7 airports. They are a state agency. Minneapolis International being the major. Mm-hmm. There's also one intermediate airport, which is the downtown St. Paul Airport, as well as minor classified airports. So they're strategically located around Minneapolis, Twin Cities area to the north, south, east, and west. And they try to relieve the congestion of business aircraft in and out of the Minneapolis International Airport so that the airline activity is not interrupted by smaller airplanes.
Okay, so it's really, really meant for business travel. So if I wanted to go visit my relatives down in Florida, I wouldn't necessarily call up your airport and look for flights going out.
There's no scheduled flights in and out of our reliever airport system.
Okay. Okay, so now I'm sure that the reliever airport in Blaine has seen a lot of changes since 1950, just like Blaine has. Clearly, we are a way different city than we used to be in 1950. How has it changed since then?
Well, initially, the majority of the airport was actually at the south end. That's where the original university building still stands. And so the airport physically has grown north. They closed a portion of the southern end of the runway and expanded it to the northern. The length of it was the same, they just moved it. And the airport has grown more to the north and to the east now over the last 60 years. Okay. So the footprint of the airport inside the fence has remained the same, but the growth within has changed itself. And then eventually in time, a control tower was put in as the amount of the operations increased. So,
okay. How large is it exactly?
The actual airport, I believe, is right around 2,100 acres.
Wow.
Up until about 7 or 8 years ago, it was actually more land than the Minneapolis International Airport.
You're kidding.
No, when they did their expansion here, extending their runway, and they took down that hotel by the Mall of America, they were at that point about 1,900 acres.
Huh.
But now they're at about 2,300. So we are probably one of the largest airport properties within the reliever system.
That's amazing. Well, now clearly there's some big differences though between the MSP airport and the Blaine airport.
Yes.
So what would you say some of those differences are besides being more a business-focused airport?
I think our airport is very diverse in the fact of who's operating on it. There's everything from museum aircraft that are from the teens and the 20s and the 30s, all the way up to the newest business jets that are international capable, and everything in between. So there's flight training on smaller aircraft. There's helicopter training. There's air ambulance, both in turboprop, turbojet, and helicopter. So there's just a lot of mix that are frequently using the airport every single day.
Okay.
St. Paul Airport is more just the business jet activity. Air Lake is more of just a small recreational flying. Same with Lake Elmo and Crystal. So I think Anoka is the most diverse with a regular activity.
So do you think that's why pilots would choose to land at this airport versus other relievers in the area?
The convenience of being as close as we are to downtown. I think the misconception is that we're so far north, but as we try to, people who live in the area here know that it's a 15-minute drive to downtown Minneapolis.
Right.
So I think it's part of that convenience of getting in quickly and efficiently and getting to where their business needs are.
Okay. And now how many runways are at the airport?
There's two runways. They intersect basically right at the center of each runway. One is 5,000 feet and the other is 4,855 feet.
So what kind of aircraft are able to fly in and out of this airport?
Every size of business aircraft, all the way down
Okay.
to the smallest aircraft, can use this airport. It's not, it's weight restricted for anything larger than that, and the runways are too short for any type of commercial activity.
Okay.
But all of the business aircraft can use it, especially in the summer months when the weather is good. You get into some of the winter months where the traction and the landing braking action is diminished, and that's when we start to lose some of that traffic to the other airports.
Roughly, though, what would you say for how many flights would go in and out on an average daily basis?
Last year, the total number of operations, which is considered a takeoff and a landing, was just shy of 80,000 at our airport. So
Wow.
I'm not a mathematician.
But a lot.
It's
a
over
lot.
100, yeah.
Well, the problem is, though, is that the number of operations has gone down over time. But that, like you said, an operation is a takeoff and a landing. And not that long ago, we had 3 active flight schools at our airport with students flying takeoff landings all day long. So that kind of thwarted the numbers as far as operations are concerned. The operations have kind of changed the type. We see more business jet activity because of the investments to the airport, and less flying because we only have 1 flight school left.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk some more about the business and economic impact about the airport and some of the changes that we have seen lately. So we will do that after a short commercial break, so stay tuned.
Get your summer off to a flying start. Discover Aviation Days, Saturday and Sunday, June 1st and 2nd at the Blaine Airport.
Begin transmission of North Metro TV Channel 15. With local professionally produced shows, Channel 15 is unlike any other station on cable TV.
With exclusive interviews and stories, North Metro TV News covers the issues that matter in the community. New episodes premiere Fridays at 6:30 p.m.
High school sports highlights and a recap of your teams, Blaine, Centennial, and Spring Lake Park. Watch Sports Den, new episodes each Wednesday, live at 6 p.m.
Watch Inside Entertainment to find out which movies you'll want to check out at the theater.
Pierre Roddy to the 10, 5, touchdown Cougars!
Educational and informative programming focused on local events created to inform our communities on issues regarding public safety.
NMTV can also be watched anywhere in the world live, on the web, and on demand at northmetrotv.com.
Welcome back to Taking Care of Business. We're talking about the Anoka County Airport in Blaine and just talked very briefly about the history and some of the things that go on at the airport. I want to talk specifically about the businesses who are at the airport because this is a big economic driver for this area. So can you elaborate a little bit, besides Key Air, your business, what other businesses are there too?
Like I said before, we are kind of a landlord of sorts. We lease hangar space to aircraft and their flight departments, but we also have office space that are leased out to, we have an operator that does aircraft maintenance. We have an operator that operates air ambulance. So they're an emergency services operator that have to be off the ground in 6 minutes from getting a call, so it is literally emergency. They're staffed there 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Avionics technicians, we have Hertz-based rental car services right on the airport. There's flight training that happens on the airport. There's obviously the museum.
Nice variety then.
Yeah, a little bit of everything that's aviation related as well as a little bit else.
And is there room for additional business growth if businesses wanted to move in? And
absolutely.
rent some
I
space?
think there's current space available, and there's obviously other space that's available to construct yet.
And about how many employees are there?
I would say almost 200.
Really?
Close to 200 people that are working at the various businesses that are based there.
That's fantastic. Can you talk about the importance of what this airport means to the community?
Well, I think we are the gateway. We're the first face people see when they're flying into, obviously, the city of Blaine and Anoka County. We send people to surrounding businesses, the hotels we deal with on a regular basis, the restaurants, obviously, other car rentals, not just the ones based within us. That's just kind of the inner ring. But people come here to do business. People flying business aircraft are here to do business for business purposes. So we're not sure where they go, but they come here. They come here specifically to do business in the area. So that has definitely increased in the last 5 years since the study's been done.
Fantastic. Now the airport has been in the news a little bit lately. We've been hearing about a potential closure of the airport tower. So can you speak a little bit briefly as to what that issue is and what's going on there?
Well, the FAA is cutting funding on contract towers, and we just are lucky enough to have a contract tower, one of two in the state. So St. Cloud Airport is losing its tower, as well as potentially Anoka on June 15th. It's very concerning on the safety level. Some have compared it to losing a stoplight in favor of a stop sign.
Okay.
So it doesn't make it immediately unsafe, but it definitely stops the efficiency that a control tower helps traffic get in and out smoothly and safely.
Okay, and so that's scheduled to happen around mid-June, correct?
Correct.
So have we heard of any possible solutions to keeping it open? Is there anything going on from a legislative standpoint?
There is amendments. The senator from Moran from Kansas is proposing an amendment, and both, luckily, our senators in the state of Minnesota are signed on to that amendment, so we appreciate that. But anything the public can do to reach out and support, contact their legislators and tell them the importance of this tower to the growth of the Anoka County Airport and the businesses utilizing this airport.
Right.
In the airport, the commission themselves, they are in line with the contract company. They don't want this closure to take place as well, so they are working on the state level as well to stop at least this particular tower from being closed, because they realize the importance of having that control issue for not only the aircraft, but also the businesses here on the field.
Right, and you mentioned two key points, I think. One is the safety aspect, as well as the business and economic impact that this could have. So it really is a multifaceted issue that could impact us quite a bit. So would you suggest that people call their federal legislators as well as their state legislators on this?
I mean, it's a federal issue, obviously, and we're seeing it in the news, the FAA and their cuts. The state legislature obviously has a close relationship with our federal legislators, so both. I mean, anybody and everybody you can reach out to and just express your support for keeping the tower system open. Okay.
Now, if people want to learn more about either the tower issue or just the airport in and of itself, what's the best place that you can direct them to?
We've recently created a website. It's called the Blaine Airport Promotional Group.
Okay.
And it's a simple address. It's aneairport.org. And we have all the businesses listed there, events, when we have activities going on, information, stories related to the airport, history about the airport. So everything about the airport is listed on that website. They can go to that if they want to come out and tour the airport or come and just look. We have a new pavilion located near the control tower. They can come out and just watch aircraft and barbecue. And so,
do you have to go through security and take your shoes off and everything first in order to do that?
No, absolutely
Wonderful,
not.
wonderful.
Yeah, so they just have to pull up close to the gate and it'll automatically open.
Okay.
And people see the gate and they see it closed and they assume that it's a private situation and they get nervous about it. I mean, half the reason that gate is there is to keep deer out of the airport, because deer, obviously we don't round around on the runway and they'll be there. So I mean, that's honestly half the reason. It's partly security, but it's partly to keep the deer out. So the airport is a public facility. We want people to come out and experience aviation, see what goes on out there.
Wonderful.
Any person that you run into at the airport will be glad to show you around and tell you everything about what they're working on.
But stay off the runways, I would imagine, right?
Please stay off the runways.
Just
Okay.
read the signs. You know, everything is marked really well, just to know where to go and just, you know.
And for those who don't know where to go, where exactly is that gate you referenced earlier? How would someone get there?
The southwest entrance. It's right off of State Highway 10 and I think 93rd Lane. They call it Airport Road.
Okay.
There's a gate there. There's a big, airport sign, and all you have to do is pull up close. The gate automatically opens. Go in and go to the left. Go as far as you can, and you'll see there's a very nice pavilion out there. And the area is right next to the control tower, and so you can see both runways. And you can push a button and listen to the control tower.
Nice.
So they have speakers. So the Airport Commission wants to promote aviation and allow the public to continue to learn about it. It's just unfortunate our airport is set up different than a lot of others where our businesses are inside the fence versus outside.
Okay. Well, we are going to spend some more time talking about the different events that you do have there. We're going to take another short commercial break, and then we'll spend the rest of our time talking about what's coming up. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
Get your summer off to a flying start. Discover Aviation Days, Saturday and Sunday, June 1st and 2nd at the Blaine Airport.
Change the channel. Change the channel. Make a sound. Share the echo.
The echo and show the world your face. It is your right to seek.
It is your right to receive. It is your right to impart.
The doors of public distribution are constantly changing.
It is our duty to bar those doors from closing.
We will not let our voices be silenced through legislation, through commodification, through the lumbering giants pulling the plug. I believe in public access.
I believe in public access. Stay tuned.
We just started talking a little bit about the different sorts of tours and events that you have at the airport. I want to spend just a second talking about tours. So if someone wanted to bring a group there, can they just go to that website to learn more information?
They can. We actually have, as part of our Blaine Airport promotional group, we have one person who's an education coordinator.
Okay.
And so we kind of just funnel the requests right to him, and then he can set up tours either at our facility at Golden Wings or Twin Cities Aviation or the control tower or all of the above. It just depends on the group. Last year we had over 1,200 students from different schools come out and learn about aviation, and we're happy to facilitate that because it's, passing on history and education. So
That's great.
yeah, they can find us through the website.
Good, good. And what sort of events do you have at the airport?
Well, throughout the year there's a half a dozen commercial events at Kier.
I've got an event coming up here in June sponsoring the Minnesota Business Aviation Association. So a lot of the different associations will host events at all the different airports around the Twin Cities. I'm lucky to host one in June for the Minnesota Business Aviation Association.
Okay.
So we expect a few hundred people, mainly flight departments in the Twin Cities, coming out to see new products and hear from speakers.
Good, wonderful.
So we have internal events like that. We also have had the AOPA events, their safety seminars, Aircraft Owner and Pilots Association. We've had a few of those. On May 18th, we have the International Learn to Fly Day. It's a national holiday or a national date. So we're doing a little open house for both the public and then all the businesses on the airport. Our largest event throughout the year is Discover Aviation Days. It takes place the first weekend of June, the 1st and 2nd. This event has been going on for almost 30 years now.
Wow.
Last year we had about 13,500 people come out.
My goodness.
It's a free event to the community. We ask for a few dollars for parking donations, but it's something we put on to help promote aviation in its whole. The name itself, Discover Aviation, and it's all aspects of aviation. This year we're really focusing on education. We have a new education center, so there's a lot of kids activities, both the fun and the educational side of the kids activities. Like Michael was talking about before, the diversity of the airport, we have a lot of different aircraft that are based here. So here's an opportunity for those owners to bring their airplanes out and have them shine. You know, we have the vintage, the World War II, the corporate, and the civil aviation. So we have many airplanes just plain on display. It's a chance for people to get a ride in an airplane. We have 4 different ride programs this year. They can get a ride in a fixed wing, you know, like a Cessna, high wing Cessna or a Cirrus. They can get a ride in an open cockpit biplane, a 1929 Travel Air.
Really?
They can get a ride in a helicopter, or they can get a ride in a World War II B-25 bomber this year.
My goodness.
So if they want history, if they just want first flight introduction, I think this is the only place in the upper Midwest where you have that much variety in a 2-day period to choose to ride from.
It's free.
And the event is free, and then there's fees for the rides.
Okay. Now, how can you keep this event free when offering that many different types of opportunities for people? It's run by a nonprofit.
It is.
Correct. So where do you find the funding?
Well, most of it is sponsorship, and the parking donation is a lot of the proceeds. But we also have over half a dozen food vendors. It's a pancake breakfast fly-in, which is a common thing with aviation fly-ins. And then we have product vendors, and all those vendors give a percentage of their sales to the event. It's all volunteer.
That's the most important part.
It's all volunteer. Mike and I.
It's hundreds of people coming together through their own time and their own energy for one common goal of sharing aviation to the community. And without the volunteers, the event couldn't happen.
Do you still need volunteers?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so where should they go to find more information on a volunteer?
That website is discoveraviationdays.org.
Okay.
And there's a phone number there too as well. Michael and I both sit on the board. We have a board of about a dozen team planners for the event, but we're always looking for help. It's a lot of setup, a lot of tear down, all that throughout the event.
And what are the hours of the event?
The event is Saturday and Sunday, June 1 and 2, and the breakfast starts at 7 a.m. The event goes till 4, and then Saturday night we have an evening hangar dance.
What is a hangar dance?
The hangar dance is in Golden Wings Museum. We kick out a few airplanes and we hang parachutes, and I bring in a 15-piece swing band. So people dress up in World War II attire.
Do they really?
Last year we had about 950 people show up. So the event, the doors open I think about 6:30, and the dance goes till midnight. So it's kind of an add-on for the weekend, and that's just Saturday evening. And that's also listed on the Aviation Days website.
And I should say, I have been there before, certainly with my family, and it's a great time. I haven't been to the hangar dance, I'll admit that.
Gotta go to the dance.
I'll have to see what I can do about that whole costume thing. But the pancake breakfast has been great. The activities for the kids have been great. I mean, it's certainly a very, very family-friendly activity.
It is. And we have other events throughout the rest of the year. On the 3rd weekend of July, we have the Returning Collings Foundation. It's a pair of World War II bombers. Another opportunity for people to experience history. And that's, I think, July 20th or 19th, 20th, and 21st. So, you know, the entities on the field also have their own in-house events. And so we try to get the public involved as many events as we possibly can.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Well, we just have a minute or two left in our show. Is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you'd like to say about the airport? Any events, businesses that
I just think one, you know, from a business perspective, I just think the community doesn't often get to know what goes on behind that fence, like I said before. But it's one thing to know that there's over 245 hangars on this airport. A lot of these people who own airplanes own them from recreational, own them for family activities, but also own them for business. Every one of these hangars are property tax payers of Anoka County and the city of Blaine.
So people pay taxes on the hangars that are there?
Oh, yeah.
They pay personal
okay.
property tax on the
Okay.
buildings. And it's a good community. It's something that people who are active in that community, have a passion for. And we do want to share that with the rest of the community, get them out there and understanding what we do. And obviously, I think there's going to be a vacuum effect of pilot shortages coming. You might hear that in the news. So
Okay.
we'd love to see young kids come out and get interested in aviation and take their first flight lesson.
No, that's fantastic. And we really didn't spend any time on it because we were talking a little bit more from a business perspective as to what's going on at the airport. But besides being a reliever airport, there's a lot of hobbyists there and enthusiasts who have really cool old planes.
Yeah.
They're not your typical business plane.
That's
And so
actually
it's just
the
fun
majority
to watch that.
That's the majority of the residents. Like Mike was saying earlier, this airport has such a huge diversity. There's the majority of the individuals or collectors, actually 3 different collectors on the field. So World War II, vintage, private, everything. So
And don't leave out the home
Thank you.
builders. There's people
Home
building
builds,
their own planes all the time,
experimentals.
kit planes. So
Yep, flying clubs is-
aviation is just very diverse. I mean, it's
I guess
not
so.
just one guy flying around by himself. There's all kinds of different people from all different sorts of walks of life out there.
Okay. Well, excellent. Well, thank you both for being my guest today. Hopefully people got a little better insight as to what happens at the Anoka County Airport in Blaine. And if they want to learn more about it, we can put the websites up again. I think go to the Chamber website to find the information. Looking forward to being a part of Discover Aviation Days once again this year. So thank you again for being my guest, and
Thanks
good
for
luck
having
to you
us.
on
Thank you.
all your upcoming things going on. So thank you for watching another episode of Taking Care of Business.
Get your summer off to a flying start. Discover Aviation Days, Saturday and Sunday, June 1st and 2nd at the Blaine Airport.